This lesson is on appending text in PHP. Basically, sticking text strings together. Variables you can stick together, text and variables, variables and variables. I'm going to show you how that's done. And I'm going to do it using something very similar to what we've seen before with a form. Here, just the first name, last name, and age. Let me fill that out. Steve, Perry, and I'm going to put in the false age of 51. Now, this looks a little bit different. It's called appending text, and I've made this a little bit more formal. It says, regarding Steve Q. Perry, entered age of 51, profile concludes that your real age is 56, born in the year 56, and the current year is 2012. So let's go ahead and look at the code. The form looks just about the same as it did before, except I'm calling a different program, and I gave it a slightly different heading. First name, last name, and age. Let's look at the PHP. Now, here I assigned in single quotes Q period to be the middle initial. This program is just going to make the assumption if I don't know your middle initial, it must be Q. So I used single quotes here instead of double quotes because there's no variable name in there that has to be interpolated as we've done in the past. It's just a literal variable, and single quotes will work just as fine as double quotes. Now, let me introduce something called the dot operator. A dot is really just a period on your keyboard. You see it here. What that does is stick one piece of text onto another piece of text. Let's look at this here. Let me work from the back. I've got the last name, and it's going to stick that to a space. A space is included between two single quotes. Then I've got another dot, sticking it onto the middle initial, and then another dot, sticking it onto another space, and one final dot, sticking it onto the first name. That's why we saw first name space Q period space Perry as the name being listed. So now, there's the factor being 5, the addition happening, age plus factor. This time, I've commented out the current year. Remember, that's a single line comment, so that code won't actually execute. And I'm going to do this in a different way, using the concatenation or the dot symbol to get text to append to other text. Here I've calculated the birth year, but instead of making this sub-task of figuring out the date like this and storing it in current year, I just put the function right here. So it'll do that function and replace it with a value. It should be 2012 when I made this video. And then I subtract what was in age plus, and I get the birth year just as before. But let's look down here. I did the printing a bit different. Notice that I've got the text, the HTML, like the paragraph beginning and the word regarding, in double quotes, but this time I left the variable names outside the double quotes, and I appended them with the dot operator. Remember, if you're going to do this, to leave a space in the text beforehand so things don't all run together. Same thing with the age, and age plus over here, and birth year. Now, one other thing that I did different to kind of illustrate the fact that when I show the current year between the two dot operators, I didn't use a field current year because I didn't calculate it in this program. I commented that line out. Instead, I just had the whole function name with a parameter with the Y in the middle, and that just brings back the current 4-digit year. So I can run a function and concatenate the results of that function right in the string like this by using the dot operator. That concludes the lesson on appending text.